we talk about Glendon, we often can't help but to mention all of the beautiful green spaces across the campus. From the trees of the Glendon forest to the ivy that grows on the buildings, students are constantly surrounded by all of this beautiful nature. But so what? Why is that important? Almost every university campus has trees. Almost every old building in Toronto is covered in English ivy. So what makes Glendon any different? Why should anybody care? The answer is simply that we should. Glendon's greenery is an integral part of not only its past, but also its present and its future. It is deeply intertwined with the history of the manor itself, as well as the family that once inhabited it. It continues to connect Toronto to its roots, both literally and figuratively, as a protected heritage site and as one of the few old-growth forests left here in Southern Ontario. But again, what does this have to do with Glendon? What does it have to do with the programs and the services we offer, with the quality of our degrees and our education? Just as these sites of living history continue to impact the Greater Toronto Area, so too do they continue to impact our school. So come with me back to the beginning. Let me tell you the story of Glendon, of the Woods family, and of just why you should care. Our story starts in the 1860s with one Mr. Edward Rogers Wood. Born and raised in Peterborough, Ontario, Mr. Wood would grow up to become one of Toronto's most prominent and influential businessmen. Fast forward to the early 1900s, he and his wife, Agnes Euphemia Smart, moved to Queen's Park, where their first family home had been built. It was named Wymelwood, after their two children, William and Mildred Wood. They eventually moved in 1924, and the house was donated to the University of Toronto, and it still stands today as Falconer Hall. After Wymelwood, they moved into Glendon Manor, which was named for its position on a glen by the Don Valley. Edward and Agnes Wood would stay here until their deaths, tending to the plants in the rose garden and the greenhouse, transplanting trees from all over the world, and enjoying the view from their balcony, which overlooked not only a section of the Don River, but also a beautiful old-growth forest which had been on the property since pre-colonial times. His brother, Frank P. Wood, and his wife, Emma, also built a family home nearby, just down the road, which has since become the Crescent Boys' School. After her death in 1950, Agnes continued the Woods' long family history of charity and philanthropy, donating her home and the surrounding property to the University of Toronto. Her only wish was that the flowers always bloom in her garden and that the buildings never grow taller than the trees. The property was occupied by the university's Department of Botany until 1960, when it was sold to York, which at the time was an affiliate of the University of Toronto. A year later, in 1961, Glendon became York University's first official campus, once it had declared its independence from the University of Toronto. Since then, little on the property has changed. The greenhouse has been transformed into the resident services and security offices, but the gates, the gatehouse cottage, and the manor itself have all been designated as protected heritage sites by the City of Toronto. Though York University now occupies numerous campuses, including the more central Keele campus, Glendon itself continues to uphold a legacy of top-notch bilingual education with a focus on liberal arts and public affairs, as imagined by our first principal, Scott Reed. And so, even almost 100 years after its construction, Glendon Manor continues to uphold the legacy of the Woods family, of their intelligence, of their kindness and generosity, and of their deep connection with the land that surrounded them. To this day, Glendon continues to produce outstanding award-winning graduates who are taught by an equally outstanding faculty. We pride ourselves in providing our students with a deep, meaningful connection to each other, to the community, and to the land that surrounds them. And it is my firm belief that Edward Rogers Wood and Agnes Euphemia Smart would be very proud of this legacy.